Hello everybody, my name is Steven and welcome back to the Storytime channel. Without wasting any time, let's get into our stories of the day. Must attend interview in person. I was working for a university in the UK as an admissions officer when I decided to apply for the role of senior admissions officer in the same office. I submitted my application and didn't hear anything for a while. A week or so later, I was abroad for a week to visit my family when I received an email to confirm that I got invited for an interview the next day at 9 a.m. I replied and asked if we could postpone the interview until Monday because I'd be back by then, but they refused. The lady who refused was my current manager and she knew I was abroad, so I didn't think this was very fair. I asked if we could do the interview over Skype instead, but she also refused this. The interview time was set and if I was interested, I will be there. Otherwise, it's my loss. I was pissed off as I couldn't believe how inflexible they were. I started rereading the email again and decided to go through the attachments to see what I had to prepare for the interview. I noticed they added a travel expense form which stated that if you travel from 5 miles or further, you could claim your expenses. Being abroad in Europe is definitely over 5 miles, so I decided to drive to the airport, booked the last flight which was £350 for a one-way flight, got a cab from the airport, and stayed in a hotel near the university as my house would have been at the other side of London. I made it to the interview in time and they were shocked to see me as they obviously didn't expect me. The interview went well, but I did not get the job. When I handed in my expense claim form, I was advised that it only applied to UK travel and they refused to pay. I asked them why they sent me the claim form when they knew I was traveling in from abroad and said that nowhere on the form it stated that it was only for UK travel. They said it was their policy, but I was not allowed to view said policy. I was due a lot of money, so I decided to file a Freedom of Information request for them to provide the policy. This appeared to be a historical policy, and as they could not send me the evidence, they decided to pay me my travel expenses, which came to a total of £550+. The policy has been updated since. So if you saw that travel expense form, would you end up taking the chance here? Let me know if you would bite the bullet and go for it, banking all your hope on that they would actually reimburse you. Pay more for less food? Okay. So I work for a major restaurant chain as a server. Given the ongoing situation, we had been doing takeout and delivery only at the time of this story. Also, we were honoring our online-only deals in an effort to increase business. Normally, our food is fairly expensive without being a fine dining place. These online deals would discount the total cost around 50%. Great value. I was working the front host stand and therefore answering phones. I had one customer call to order pickup and he promptly cut me off midway through my answer speech. This immediately irritates me, but I take a breath and soldier on. I just continue expecting a certain type of customer/interaction at this point. Customer jumps right into the order, so I politely backtrack him to take the phone number and name. The customer wanted a double order of wings and a medium pizza. Okay, no problem. I put it through with some difficulty as the customer isn't making it easy, having to clarify or repeat certain questions, etc. But this is part of the job and he's not being outright rude, just frustrating. Finally, I gave him his total, approximately $51. I then mentioned to him that right now we have a special that has 3 pounds of wings and 2 medium pizzas for $49.99. But he cut me off before I could get much further than, just wanted to let you know that right now we have a special. Okay, fine. I'm tired of arguing. I put it through as requested. Of course, I proceed to tell my colleagues about this guy and how he even turned me down trying to save him money despite being short and what felt to me as entitled during the exchange. We all have a laugh. When customer arrives, I choose to take his payment first and then bring out his food. As he accepts it, I point out that, for next time, what I was trying to tell you about the special is that you could have gotten another pound of wings and another pizza for $1.50 less. He looked at me like I had 3 heads and sheepishly mentioned maybe he should have let me tell him about it. Yeah, you think? If I was the caller, I probably would have at least heard him out, but I can also kind of understand because I feel like most of the time those specials that are presented, at least in my experience, haven't really been worth entertaining. Plus, you never know what kind of situation the caller was in when he was making this order and acting that way. Move your car. This is a short and simple story that happened years ago when I still lived at home. I was 20 at the time and my sister was 17, still in high school. I was about to leave for work and noticed she parked her car behind mine. So I asked her if she could move her car to let me out. I figured that she could just park her car where mine was once I move out of the way. She rolled her eyes and for whatever reason had a slight attitude about it and told me, "Move it yourself if you're the one that has to leave." She couldn't even be bothered to give me her keys for me to do so. So I did. I moved her car and parked it a mile down the road in my grandparents' driveway and walked back. I put her keys back and didn't say anything as I grabbed mine and just left. Made me late to work that day, but I didn't care. Next time I asked her to move her car, she begrudgingly did. It takes a minute to move your car? It's a slight inconvenience, sure, but just go ahead and move the car, it's no big deal. Parents forbid me to use my preferred name at school? I'll just keep adding letters to the end of it. I came out to my parents as a trans man before the start of my freshman year of high school, and they were extremely hostile about it. So much so that they forbade me from using my chosen name at school or even with my friends. Well, I thought that was a load of crap and changed my name in the school system on the first day. It had my legal name listed, but for most purposes my preferred name was used. After about 3 months, they found out about it and were pissed. So they said to me, "OP, you have to change your name in the school right now." So I was like, okay, I will. So I changed it from Bob, not my actual name, to Bob with a second B. The next day, they checked the homework portal again and discovered I had indeed changed it, but not to my legal name. "OP, we told you to change it back to your legal name." "No, you told me to change it, and I did." My God, they were pissed. I was grounded for a month and my phone was taken, but it was totally worth it. So after that, every time they told me to change it, I would tack on another letter. By the end of the school year, my name was Bob. Eventually, they stopped grounding me and just gave up. I was allowed to use my preferred name the rest of high school, provided it wasn't around them. Note, my mom has started coming around and I'm planning on cutting off my dad once she divorces him for being a piece of garbage, including what he did to me. Well, I'm glad that OP's mom started coming around to it, and frankly, it's just quite unfortunate to hear about the father. And also, I was reading the comments and one person said they're lucky you didn't start adding O's to Bob. Now that would have been funny. Pizza party screw-ups. So when I first started college, I worked in this small pizza shop the students could use their meal plans on. If you don't know what a meal plan is, it's basically you pay a set amount per semester and can swipe a card to eat wherever you want, with rules depending on how much you paid. Now, I have to say, pizza was awesome. High quality ingredients, interesting combos of toppings, and really good salads. But we were in a test kitchen. This brand had never been anything other than a sit down and enjoy style of pizza. So turning it into a fast food place was difficult. We weren't that busy normally. Good days $800, bad days maybe $250. When he came to see how we were holding up, the brand owner, the one who created the entire store name, told us to only set enough dough to use that day. Absolutely no more. We made the large Sicilian style, and it took 4.3 pounds of dough per pizza. If you didn't want it to be thin in places, you'd round it to 4.5. So any given day, we'd go through roughly 60 to 80 pounds. We had to let it rise for a few hours because it was a yeast base. Now, on any day, this was no big deal. Get down to half a pizza, stretch a dough, and let it rise. Easy until the end of the semester came. The compliance. Now, till this point, we weren't selling as much as our big boss would have liked, so for the last 2 months of the semester, he was in-house breathing down our necks for the slightest thing he could see as waste. He was also pressing us to sell as many whole pizzas as we could. Oh boy, did we. For those of you who have never had a meal plan, no one uses all of the meals they've paid for. Most people end up with like 20 to 30 left. They'll buy a bunch of food for a party and be done with it. but there are ones that end with near 100. That is where this is going. I worked from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. these last few weeks because my finals were done and it was easy money. So I had heard people saying how they were going to use their meals and just buy a bunch of food. I even offered to take down orders if they wanted to let us know ahead of time. By the last day, I had orders for over 65 pizzas from multiple people. Being the good employee I was, I told our big boss about it. He was impressed and even set out extra for the day when we started to prep. I also knew it was not even close to enough. Most college kids don't think about calling ahead for really big orders. They just expect to be able to get it. So there were going to be plenty of those kinds of people. He said the words that doomed our kitchen. If we need more as the day goes, we will get it as needed. 6 employees and our kitchen manager, we'll get to his role in a bit, just gave up and went with it. So the day went on, 11 o'clock came, and immediately we had orders non-stop for 3 and 4 pizzas each. We had pre-orders already prepped and rising, so each time we took chunks out of the dough laid out, our boss got more and more nervous. By 3, we were out of the raised dough and were scrambling to get the chilled stuff to rise enough to stretch. 4 o'clock and all the other restaurants around us had closed down because they were out of supplies and had went home. We were still catching up. Our big boss is red-faced, pissed off, and trying to blame us for all his bad planning. Then, the final blow came in the form of 2 frat boys and their entire house. They asked if there was a limit on the number they could order. I was on the register and looked at by my kitchen manager, call him Steven, and asked. He got the most devilish smile and said, "As long as you don't mind a wait, we can sell you as many as you can buy." These 2 mad lads bought 25 pizzas apiece. They were having a final party and wanted to blow the rest of their meals on it. As soon as I called out the order to our big boss in the back, all I hear is a frantic, "How many did you say?" He comes running up front, looks over the receipt, and all the color drains from his face. He tries offering a refund, but it has to go through the school and can take over a week. Had to deal with a brat mom and her child learning this. So in the end, he had to stay and help us make them. It took over 6 hours to cook them all. Steven emptied the ingredients all over their pizzas, so they were absolutely loaded. We all got paid overtime, and Steven quit the following week. Listen to your employees. Epilogue. On our last day, Steven pulled us all into his office and gave us all $50 out of his own pocket because we never should have had to have put up with that brain-dead butt monkey, and that he was sorry we had to. To this day, one of my favorite managers. Edit, I should mention that when the next semester started, the entire restaurant had been remodeled. A completely new one was in its place, with Steven back as the manager, looking like the cat that caught the canary. He said Big Boss pulled this place out, and we were free to choose the one that replaced it. He offered us our jobs back with a 50-cent raise. We sold almost 4 times our daily business, and the other 3 places were a little salty we were doing so well, but it was all good. Never had another problem like that again. I like the happy ending the story had, and that manager has a devilishly good name. I'll be happy to assist you. This happened to my brother and not me, but it's still one of the best stories I've ever heard. My brother used to work at Chick-fil-A as a cashier and would take the customer's order. One day, he had a Karen come in. First, she was just fine, until she got her food. She complained that the bun was bad and she wanted a new one. My brother was going to assist her until she said, "Just do your job properly and get my bun." He shrugged and agreed. He gets a brand new bun, goes to the register and rings it up. He looks at her and says, "That'll be 27 cents. She looked at him really confused and asked why she had to pay, to which my brother said, "I'm just doing my job properly." I feel like if somebody's gonna come out and try and help you, why would you be rude and dismissive? It's not like the cashier made the order. Travel to customer sites. The latest spat of posts about company travel reminded me of this little gem. I was working for an MSP that had customer sites close to my home. I would arrange to be on site at about 9:30. This meant that I would get a lie-in and leave my house at around 9 to get to the customer site. I would then claim on expenses the travel from the customer back to the office. This worked fine until we got a new manager who stated that we had to start work at the time in our contract, and we could only claim mileage to and from the office. The contract stated that our start time was 8:30, and I stated that it would be a waste of my time driving to the office, turning around, and driving to a customer's site. He was having none of this. So I would arrange with the customer that I would be on site at 9:30, and I then proceeded to clock in at 8:25, get to my desk, sit down and have a cup of coffee, and read my emails. I then drove to the customer's site, did the work, and drove back. After claiming for double the amount of travel expenses, questions were asked, but I pointed to the email that had been sent out. This lasted until the manager changed, who saw sense and changed the system back to how it was. Personally, this kind of thinking really frustrates me. I feel like they equate it to, you're not doing enough work if you're going from your house straight to the customer. You have to be in the office. It's like people who have a night-based sleep schedule and people get upset at them for sleeping during the day. It just makes no sense. If they're productive and it's efficient for that person and it saves money, I don't get why you would be so rigid about it. But with that being said, that's all the stories we have for today. So what I want to know is, which of these stories was your personal favorite and why? Let me know in the comment section down below. And thank you all so very much for watching and listening to the Storytime channel today. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing and don't forget to turn notifications on so you'll never miss an upcoming video. Thank you all again for watching and listening to the Storytime channel.